trying to see my current cosmetic situation a little clearer. The vibrant carmine pigment has noticeably begun to wane, leaving an uneven, highly unattractive, waxy stain. I dab my mouth with a remarkably thin textured tissue, attempting to resolve this highly frustrating vanity issue. The glamorous crimson outline is severely blurred and messy, making my facial presentation look incredibly unimpressive. I noticed the rosy smudge transfer directly onto my collar, a highly persistent residue that no amount of soap will alter. The waxy substance clings stubbornly to the woven fabric, a visible consequence of an interaction that was highly tragic. The glossy finish you applied earlier has entirely disappeared, exactly as my highly observant, cynical mind had feared. The cosmetic layer failed to withstand the evening's friction, exposing the underlying truth beneath the glamorous fiction. Oh, the rouge loses its highly saturated initial brightness, replaced by an overwhelming, remarkably dull whiteness, wiping the color grease directly off the weary pout. The artificial confidence has completely run out. Wearing this remarkably faded lipstick, a highly deceptive, superficial cosmetic trick. The vibrant pigment heavily diminishes and cracks, revealing exactly what our artificial presentation lacks. A smudge reminder of a highly glamorous facade, an aesthetic disguise that was fundamentally flawed. The waxy layer peeled away from the sensitive skin, allowing the remarkably unpolished reality to begin. The matte foundation begins to heavily flake and separate as the late night hours continue to drastically escalate. I hand you a moistened towelette to cleanse your cheek. Your cosmetic barrier is looking incredibly, terribly weak. The rosy tint is heavily compromised by the perspiration, a highly unflattering, physically messy manifestation. You reapply the coloring, but the contour line is crooked, the most unkempt and disheveled that you have ever looked. I twist the plastic tube to elevate the colored wax cylinder, feeling like a highly exhausted and glamorous pretender. The shade is significantly lighter than the original application, a deeply disappointing, highly frustrating visual revelation. My lip liner is entirely erased from the outer boundary. I am trapped completely inside this superficial laundry. The glamorous aesthetic has been entirely compromised, exactly as the harsh bathroom fluorescent lights surmise. The rouge loses its highly saturated initial brightness, replaced by an overwhelming, remarkably dull whiteness, wiping the color grease directly off the weary pout. The artificial confidence has completely run out. Wearing this remarkably faded lipstick, a highly deceptive, superficial cosmetic trick. The vibrant pigment heavily diminishes and cracks, revealing exactly what our artificial presentation lacks. A smudge reminder of a highly glamorous facade, an aesthetic disguise that was fundamentally flawed. The waxy layer peels away from the sensitive skin, allowing the remarkably unpolished the remaining pigment entirely away, except the unvarnished reality of the day. The artificial coloring provides zero protection, just a highly superficial waxy deflection. Twist up, apply gloss, smear down, total loss. Wipe clean, face seen, wearing this remarkably faded lipstick, a highly deceptive superficial cosmetic trick. The vibrant pigment heavily diminishes and cracks, revealing exactly what our artificial presentation lacks. A smudge reminder of a highly glamorous facade, an aesthetic disguise that was fundamentally flawed. The waxy layer peels away from the sensitive skin, allowing the remarkably unpolished reality to begin. Close the case, wash the face, color gone, moving on. Listening to your incredibly raspy, unpolished the bone, a harsh, abrasive frequency that chills me to the bone. The sound is highly reminiscent of heavily crushed rocks, a remarkably gruff communication that constantly shocks. Your pharynx has endured decades of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating barren despair. The syllables grind together like a rusty, unoiled gear, the most incredibly coarse serenade I will ever hear.
I wake up every single morning with an incredibly dry throat, struggling to articulate even a single proper note. My larynx is severely damaged from yelling into the gale, a deeply hoarse presentation where the vocal cords fail. I clear my throat with a loud, incredibly abrasive cough, but the harsh scraping texture absolutely refuses to wear off. Speaking feels exactly like swallowing a handful of sand, a severely deteriorated instrument I can barely command. The vocals are incredibly frayed and totally torn, a highly textured sound that was painfully born, friction dominating every single spoken word, the most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard, communicating entirely with this gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably rough auditory grind, the most intimidating gruff frequency you can find, sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic fleet. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. I order a dark coffee to soothe the terrible scraping ache, the only physical remedy that I am currently able to take. My vocal range is plummeted into the deepest sub-bass tier, instilling the surrounding patrons with a tiny bit of fear. The raspiness has a highly dramatic, intimidating weight to every single opinion that I attempt to clearly state, a remarkably gruff phenomenon that I simply cannot fix, a highly deteriorated, incredibly rough bag of vocal tricks. There is a strange, highly unconventional charm to the croak, as if your entire existence is obscured by a heavy smoke. I listen to the remarkably textured sound refined frequency that nobody can teach. The hoarseness conveys a highly authentic lived-in pain, a remarkably unfiltered, entirely unpretentious vocal strain. You whisper a gruff compliment directly into my ear. The most incredibly rough, abrasive sentiment of the year. Their bones are incredibly frayed and totally torn. A highly textured sound that was painfully born. Friction dominating every single spoken word. The most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard. Communicating entirely with this gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably reportatory grind. The most intimidating gruff frequency you can find. Sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feel. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. Across the entire local bar, embrace the terribly unpolished hoarse delivery. A remarkably authentic, highly textured, Pharynx has endured decades of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating baritone despair. The syllables bind together like a rusty, unoiled gear. The most incredibly coarse serenade I will ever hear. I wake up every single morning with an incredibly dry throat, struggling to articulate even a single proper note. My larynx is severely damaged from yelling into the gale, a deeply hoarse presentation where the vocal cords fail. I clear my throat with the loud, incredibly abrasive cough, but the harsh scraping texture absolutely refuses to wear off. Speaking feels exactly like swallowing a handful of sand, a severely deteriorated instrument I can barely command. The vocal folds are incredibly frayed and totally torn, a highly textured sound that was painfully born. Friction dominating every single spoken word. The most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard. Communicating entirely with this gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably reportatory grind. The most intimidating gruff frequency you can find. Sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feat. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. I order a dark coffee to soothe the terrible scraping ache, the only physical remedy that I am currently able to take. My vocal range is plummeted into the deepest sub-bass tier, instilling the surrounding patrons with a tiny bit of fear. The raspiness has a dramatic, intimidating weight to every single dating that constantly shocks. Your pharynx has enjoyed decades of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating baritone despair. The syllables grind together like a rusty oh. preparing the enormous vessel for a journey incredibly vast. The pelagic winds fill the fabric with a highly powerful gust, leaving the safe harbor in a cloud of maritime salty dust. I stand confidently upon the starboard side of the deck, searching the endless blue horizon for a sunken pirate wreck. The albatross glides beautifully alongside our wooden hull, a highly spectacular nautical voyage that is never dull. Hey! Gripping the giant steering wheel with my calloused hands, navigating the coordinates toward undiscovered foreign lands. The compass points directly toward a highly treacherous reef, but the crew maintains a remarkably steadfast, brave belief. I adjust the rigging and carefully secure the thick rope, sailing forward with an enormous amount of adventurous hope. The maritime charts predict a highly favorable strong gale, providing the perfect momentum for this legendary tale. Riding the crest of a gigantic rolling swell, ringing the polished brass navigational bell. The buoyancy keeps the heavy galleon afloat, singing a lively shanty upon this mighty boat. Dancing the highly energetic ocean skank, walking barefoot upon the wooden plank, a bouncing nautical rhythm on the open sea, the absolute pinnacle of maritime liberty. Swinging joyfully with the pelagic motion, celebrating the vastness of the mighty ocean, a remarkably festive aquatic celebration, the greatest voyage in the entire nation. The barnacles cling stubbornly to the submerged underbelly, while the chef prepares a highly traditional maritime jelly. I drop the massive iron anchor into the turquoise deep, allowing the exhausted hard-working sailors to finally sleep. The dolphins breach spectacularly across the starboard bow, a majestic aquatic performance happening right here and now. We swap the wooden deck until the timber perfectly gleams, fulfilling our wildest, most adventurous seafaring dream. Climbing the rope ladder entirely up to the tall crow's nest, putting my acrobatic maritime abilities to the ultimate test. I peer through the brass telescope to scout the distant shore, discovering a magnificent island entirely unexplored before. The salty spray constantly splashes against my smiling face, navigating the galleon into this beautifully secluded space. We secure the heavy moorings to the wooden harbor dock, arriving perfectly on time according to the captain's clock. Riding the crest of a gigantic rolling swell, ringing the polished brass navigational bell. The buoyancy keeps the heavy galleon afloat, singing a lively shanty upon this mighty boat. Dancing the highly energetic ocean skank, walking barefoot upon the wooden plank, a bouncing nautical rhythm on the open sea, the absolute pinnacle of maritime liberty. Swinging joyfully with the pelagic motion, celebrating the vastness of the mighty ocean, a remarkably festive aquatic celebration, the greatest voyage in the entire nation. When the weather turns, navigate the vessel wherever the lantern burns. The aquatic journey provides an absolute thrill, riding the aquatic roller coaster with incredible skill. Pull the line, weather good, feeling fine, set the sail, catch the gale. Dancing the highly energetic ocean skank, walking barefoot upon the wooden plank, a bouncy nautical rhythm on the open sea, the absolute pinnacle of maritime liberty. Swinging joyfully with the pelagic motion, celebrating the vastness of the mighty ocean, a remarkably festive aquatic celebration, the greatest voyage in the entire nation. Drop anchor, empty tanker, journey ends with my friends.
Entering the lavishly decorated, incredibly opulent parlor, escaping entirely from the drab, monochromatic outdoor squalor. The heavy drapery blocking the windows is a deep burgundy, creating an atmosphere of highly exclusive aesthetic urgency. I sink deeply into the incredibly plush, tufted upholstery, surrounded by an astonishing collection of scarlet tapestry. The illumination is provided by a rosy, flattering chandelier, making every single patron look undeniably magnificent here.
My shoes sink entirely into the remarkably thick ruby carpet, the most extravagantly designed interior
on the entire market.
A waitress balances a silver tray of brightly colored grenadine, the most highly saturated visual environment I've ever seen. I slide perfectly into the incredibly private circular leather booth, embracing this highly manufactured, deeply colorful truth. The wallpaper features a velvety dark cherry damask pattern, a profoundly luxurious sanctuary comparable to the
rings of Saturn, immersed entirely in this cardinal hue. A completely flushed, magnificent view, basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow. The most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning in the majestic, regal scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment.
The mahogany tables are polished to a highly reflective shine, while the patrons heavily consume their expensive vintage wine. I observe the incredibly rich ruby-tinted stained glass, watching the beautifully dressed, sophisticated clientele pass. The ambient temperature is remarkably warm and inviting, perfectly complementing the deeply atmospheric ruby lighting. A monochromatic masterpiece of absolute interior luxury, a phenomenally expensive, highly curated sanctuary.
My fingernails perfectly match the velvet cushions of the chair, a highly coordinated, deeply meticulous aesthetic affair. The bartender wipes the counter with a scarlet-colored rag, while a patron retrieves a lipstick from her expensive bag. We are utterly enveloped by this warm, undeniably rich tone, feeling like royalty sitting directly upon a comfortable throne. The aesthetic consistency is remarkably strict and severe. Absolutely no contrasting colors are ever permitted here. Immersed entirely in this cardinal hue, completely flushed, magnificent view, basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow. The most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning in the majestic, regal scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment. To the profoundly plush, saturated environment, the ultimate aesthetic of luxurious retirement. Red velvet, deep sink, ruby glass, fancy drink, scarlet glow, moving slow, relaxing inside, magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning the majestic, regal, scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment. Lights dim down, rich side of town, stay inside, nowhere to hide. Entering the lavishly decorated, incredibly opulent parlor, escaping entirely from the drab, monochromatic outdoor squalor. The heavy drapery blocking the windows is a deep burgundy, creating an atmosphere of highly exclusive aesthetic urgency. I sink deeply into the incredibly plush, tufted upholstery, surrounded by an astonishing collection of scarlet tapestry. The illumination is provided by a rosy, flattering chandelier, making every single patron look undeniably magnificent here.
My shoes sink entirely into the remarkably thick ruby carpet, the most extravagantly designed interior on the entire market. A waitress balances a silver tray of brightly colored grenadine, the most highly saturated visual environment
I have ever seen.
I slide
Perfectly into the incredibly private circular leather booth,
embracing this highly manufactured,
deeply colorful truth.
the wallpaper features
A velvety dark cherry damask pattern,
a profoundly luxurious sanctuary comparable to the rings of Saturn.
Immersed entirely in this cardinal hue,
A completely flushed, magnificent view,
basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow,
the most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know.
relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge,
Where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge.
everything is painted a spectacular blood red,
A highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead,
a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway,
where the glamorous residents
permanently stay,
drowning in the majestic, regal
scarlet pigments, a beautifully crafted interior design figment.
The mahogany tables are polished to a highly reflective shine, while the patrons heavily consume their expensive vintage wine. I observe the incredibly rich, ruby-tinted stained glass, watching the beautifully dressed, sophisticated clientele pass.
The ambient temperature is remarkably warm and inviting,
perfectly complementing the deeply atmospheric ruby lighting.
A monochromatic
Masterpiece of absolute interior luxury,
a phenomenally expensive,
highly curated sanctuary. My fingernails perfectly match the velvet cushions of the chair, a highly coordinated, deeply meticulous aesthetic affair. The bartender wipes the counter with a scarlet-colored rag, while a patron retrieves a lipstick from her expensive bag. We are utterly enveloped by by this warm, undeniably rich tone, feeling like royalty sitting directly upon a comfortable throne. The aesthetic consistency is remarkably strict and severe. Absolutely no contrasting colors are ever permitted here. Immersed entirely in this cardinal hue, a completely flush, magnificent view, basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow, the most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning in the majestic regal scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment. Close a heavy doors to the mundane gray street. This highly colorful immersion is wonderfully complete. Surrender to the profoundly plush, saturated environment, the ultimate aesthetic form of luxurious retirement. Red velvet, deep sink, ruby glass, fancy drink, scarlet glow, moving slow. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway, where the glamorous residents permanently stay, drowning in the majestic regal scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment. Lights dim down, rich side of town, stay inside, nowhere to hide. Gravitational pull of the moon dictates the water's pace, creating a remarkably tranquil, highly meditative space. Bioluminescent plankton begins to gently glow in the dark, leaving a mesmerizing, glowing, fluorescent blue mark.
I walk completely barefoot along the incredibly soft shoreline, observing the natural oceanic phenomenon of perfect design. The tiny gentle ripples barely disturb the smooth sandy beach, providing a profound calmness that is comfortably within reach. The estuary waters mix peacefully with the salty sea, a completely tranquil environment exclusively for you and me. I collect smooth frosted sea glass scattered by the foam, finding a profound sense of comfort in this coastal home. The lunar phase is a beautifully perfect waxing crescent, making the entire oceanic atmosphere wonderfully pleasant.
present, a highly soothing, gentle retreat of the shallow water. Nature acting as a profoundly gentle, caring daughter. The ebb and flow occurring at a whisper's volume, a deeply peaceful oceanic nighttime costume. The liquid retreats and gracefully returns, extinguishing the anxiety that heavily burns. Drifting alongside this incredibly mellow tide, nowhere for our psychological stresses to hide. A remarkably smooth liquid sort of therapy, embracing this wonderful coastal serenity. The gentle foam kisses the tips of our toes, washing away every single worldly woe. A highly tranquil, meditated lunar sway, gently washing the complicated world away. The coastal hermit crabs scurry into their spiral shells, while the incredibly soft ocean current peacefully swells. I sit entirely still upon a large, smooth granite boulder, feeling the heavy burdens lifting entirely off my shoulder. The reflections of the stars dance upon a glassy surface, a profoundly beautiful, highly calming, aquatic purpose. The seaweed floats gently in the mesmerizing shallow pool. The entire ecosystem is wonderfully, dependably cool. The retreating liquid leaves intricate patterns in the wet dirt, healing every single microscopic psychological hurt. I synchronize my breathing with the rhythm of the gentle wash, observing the tiny minnows swimming in the aquatic squash. The lunar gravity acts as a highly dependable silent guide, controlling the remarkably peaceful, wonderful mellow tide. We are lulled entirely into a state of profound relaxation, the most effective natural form of mental pacification. The ebb and flow occurring at a whisper's volume, a deeply peaceful oceanic nighttime costume. The liquid retreats and gracefully returns, extinguishing the anxiety that heavily burns. Drifting alongside this incredibly mellow tide, nowhere for our psychological stresses to hide. A remarkably smooth liquid sort of therapy, embracing this wonderful coastal serenity. The gentle foam kisses the tips of our toes, washing away every single worldly woe. A highly tranquil, meditated lunar sway, gently washing the complicated world away. Let the current softly pull your worries out to sea. Embrace the gentle liquid form of absolute tranquility. The ocean breathes exactly like a sleeping giant, making our rigid human minds incredibly compliant. Inhale deep, water sweet. Exhale slow, watch it go. Gentle wash, soft splash. Drifting alongside this incredibly mellow tide, nowhere for our psychological stresses to hide. A remarkably smooth liquid sort of therapy, embracing this wonderful coastal serenity. The gentle foam kisses the tips of our toes, washing away every single worldly woe. A highly tranquil, meditated lunar sway, gently washing the complicated world away. sorting through the massive pile of dirty laundry on the bed, discovering the exact evidence that I had always fiercely dreaded. A highly distinct, unfamiliar discoloration upon the neckline, proving that your weekend activities were completely out of line.
The woven cotton fabric holds the undeniable dirty truth,
exposing the secret infidelity of your reckless, foolish youth. I inspect the garment closely under the bright bedroom light, confirming my worst suspicions on this terrible, ruined night.
I desperately tried to formulate a believable, innocent excuse, while enduring this incredibly tense psychological abuse.
Sweat forms heavily upon my highly panicked, guilty brow. I cannot talk my way out of this disastrous situation now.
The button-down shirt was supposed to be thoroughly washed,
but my deceptive, terrible plan has been entirely quashed. I stare completely silently at the patterned bedroom rug, feeling like a highly exposed, thoroughly cornered, helpless bug. No amount of strong detergent can bleach the guilt, destroying the fragile trust we carefully built. The undeniable proof is woven into the thread, a catastrophic revelation filling us with dread. Confronting the reality of this stained collar, not worth a single pathetic counterfeit dollar, a visible mark of absolute devastating betrayal, where every single deceptive explanation will fail. The neckline carries a highly foreign, strange perfume, suffocating the oxygen right out of the living room, a permanent blemish upon the pristine white cloth, destroying the relationship like a fabric-eating moth.
I unbuttoned the cuffs with incredibly trembling, shaking hands, unable to meet your highly righteous, furious demand. The washing machine spins loudly in the adjacent utility hall, while my entire deceptive empire begins to completely fall. I offer a pathetic
apology that sounds incredibly insincere, understanding that the end of our partnership is entirely near.
The visual evidence is far too overwhelming to ever deny. I am caught completely inside my own terrible, selfish lie.
I toss the ruined garment directly into the metal trash bin, refusing to accept the consequences of your terrible sin. The laundry basket overflows with the remnants of your deceits, a highly devastating, incredibly painful, romantic defeat. I demand that you pack your belongings and quickly depart, taking your terribly flawed, untrustworthy, deceptive heart. The discoloration remains a highly permanent, ugly scar, showing exactly how incredibly wicked you truly are. No amount of strong detergent can bleach the guilt, destroying the fragile trust we carefully built. The undeniable proof is woven into the thread, a catastrophic revelation filling us with dread. Confronting the reality of the stained collar, not worth a single pathetic counterfeit dollar, a visible mark of absolute devastating betrayal, where every single deceptive explanation will fail. The neckline carries a highly foreign, strange perfume, suffocating the oxygen right out of the living room, a permanent blemish upon the pristine white cloth, destroying the relationship like a fabric-eating moth. The chemical solvents cannot remove the awful trace, erase the lying expression right off of your face. The fabric is ruined, the material is totally torn, a terrible catastrophe that leaves us deeply worn.
Scrub hard,
So deep,
lies told,
now weep, rinse out, loud shout.
mark of absolute devastating betrayal,
where every single deceptive explanation will fail.
the neckline carries a highly foreign, strange perfume,
Suffocating the oxygen right out of the living room.
a permanent blemish upon the pristine white cloth,
Destroying the relationship like a fabric eating moth.
Throw it out
in the doubt,
Close the door.
nevermore.
The celestial canopy above is a magnificent deep azure, a highly faceted astronomical gemstone that feels incredibly pure. I stare upwards at the glittering corundum-colored expanse, falling deeply into a highly sophisticated nocturnal trance.
The constellations resemble an intricate design diamond necklace, making all of our earthly trivial problems seem entirely reckless.
The atmosphere is painted in a profoundly rich cobalt dye, a brilliantly cut precious mineral dominating the entire sky.
I button my tailored midnight Bluetooth tuxedo jacket, leaving behind the chaotic noise in metropolitan racket.
The ocean reflects the exact same lapis lazuli tone as I stand upon the highly polished marble balcony alone.
The astronomical jewelry provides a highly expensive illumination, the most gorgeous thespic
Visual presentation,
a wealthy, deeply saturated oceanic type of hue,
engulfing the entire perimeter in a majestic royal blue.
The precious mineral shines with immense clarity,
A nocturnal display of ultimate rarity,
polished to a highly reflective,
gorgeous sheen,
the most
valuable evening we have ever seen.
basking in the glory of these sapphire nights,
Illuminated by the distant celestial lights,
a deeply colored,
incredibly expensive gemstone, a majestic, beautifully saturated blue zone.
the astronomical wealth is prominently displayed, a magnificent, brilliant cut twilight parade,
Staring into the deep oceanic faceted core,
leaving us absolutely desperate for more.
The optical properties of the atmosphere are flawlessly aligned.
the greatest, most valuable treasure that humanity could ever find.
I adjust my silver cufflinks and admire the stellar view,
Surrounded completely by this incredibly wealthy royal blue.
the geological perfection of the heavens is
Undeniable, a highly consistent, astronomically reliable
display of unimaginable
cosmic luxury, a magnificent, deeply saturated nocturnal sanctuary. The moonlight catches the facets of the atmospheric jewel, a highly sophisticated, undeniably beautiful astronomical rule. My velvet evening gown matches the sky perfectly, a completely intentional, highly fashionable aesthetic decree.
we observe the glittering panorama
From the penthouse suite, an incredibly exclusive, phenomenally beautiful retreat,
the ultimate pinnacle of atmospheric
rich elegance, a highly valuable, deeply blue
reflective,
gorgeous sheen, the most valuable evening we have ever seen. Basking in the glory of these sapphire nights, illuminated by the distant celestial lights.
a deeply colored,
Incredibly expensive gemstone, a majestic, beautifully saturated blue zone. The astronomical wealth is prominently displayed, a magnificent, brilliant cut twilight parade, staring into the deep oceanic faceted core, leaving us absolutely desperate for more. Sky glows rich, perfect heat pitch, deepest blues, just us two.
Listening to your incredibly raspy, unpolished to the bone, a harsh, abrasive frequency that chills me to the bone. The sound is highly reminiscent of heavily crushed rocks, a remarkably gruff communication that constantly shocks.
your pharynx has endured decades of incredibly rough wear,
projecting a highly intimidating barrett spare. The syllables grind together like a rusty, unoiled gear, the most incredibly coarse serenade I will ever hear.
I wake up every single morning with an incredibly dry throat, struggling to articulate even a single proper note. My larynx is severely damaged from yelling into the gale, a deeply hoarse presentation where the vocal cords fail. I clear my throat with a loud, incredibly abrasive cough, but the harsh scraping texture absolutely refuses to wear off. Speaking feels exactly like swallowing a handful of sand, a severely deteriorated instrument I can barely command. The vocal folds are incredibly frayed and totally torn,
A highly textured sound that was painfully born.
friction dominating every single spoken word,
The most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard. Communicating entirely with his gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably rough auditory grind, the most intimidating gruff frequency you can find, sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feat. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick.
Order a dark coffee to soothe a terrible scraping ache, the only physical remedy that I am currently able to take. My vocal range is plummeted into the deepest sub-bass tier, instilling the surrounding patrons with a tiny bit of fear. The raspiness adds a highly dramatic, intimidating weight to every single opinion that I attempt to clearly state. A remarkably gruff phenomenon that I simply cannot fix. A highly deteriorated, incredibly rough bag of vocal tricks.
There is a strange, highly unconventional charm to the croak, as if your entire existence is obscured by a heavy smoke. I listen to the incredibly textured sandpaper-like speech, a completely unrefined frequency that nobody can teach. The hoarseness conveys a highly authentic, lived-in pain, a remarkably unfiltered, entirely unpretentious vocal strain. You whisper a gruff compliment directly into my ear, the most incredibly rough, abrasive sentiment of the year. The vocal folds are incredibly frayed and totally torn, a highly textured sound that was painfully born. Friction dominating every single spoken word, the most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard. Communicating entirely with his gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably rough auditory grind, the most intimidating gruff frequency you can find. Sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street, a highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feat. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. Incredibly sick. The friction creates a highly unique auditory scar, projecting the gruffness across the entire local bar. Embrace the terribly unpolished horse delivery, a remarkably authentic, highly texturedly, remarkably authentic, highly texturedly. Listening to your incredibly raspy, listening to your incredibly raspy, listening to your incredibly raspy, a harsh, abrasive frequency. The sound is highly reminiscent of heavily crushed bones. The sound is highly reminiscent of heavily crushed rocks, a remarkably gruff communication that constantly shocks. Your pharynx has endured decades of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating bathysphere. The syllables grind together like a rusty and oiled gear, the most incredibly coarse serenade I will ever hear. I wake up every single morning with an incredibly dry throat, struggling to articulate even a single proper note. My larynx is severely damaged from yelling into the gale, a deeply hoarse presentation where the vocal cords fail. I clear my throat with a loud, incredibly abrasive cough, but the harsh scraping texture absolutely refuses to wear off. Speaking feels exactly like swallowing a handful of sand, a severely deteriorated instrument I can barely command. I wake up every single morning with an incredibly dry throat, struggling to articulate even a single proper note. My larynx is severely damaged from yelling into the gale, a deeply hoarse presentation where the vocal cords fail. I clear my throat with a loud, incredibly abrasive cough, but the harsh scraping texture absolutely refuses to wear off. Speaking feels exactly like swallowing a handful of sand, a severely deteriorated instrument I can barely command. I wake up every single morning.
Brightly plumed feathers are intentionally, permanently clipped, ensuring that my potential for flight is entirely, securely stripped.
I am surrounded by incredibly expensive, shiny little trinkets, but my geographical perimeter is completely defined by limits. The enclosure is securely fastened with a heavy diamond padlock. I stare miserably at the remarkably ornate ticking grandfather clock, provided with gourmet seeds upon a tiny, exquisite platinum platter. But my fundamental lack of liberty is the only thing that matters.
I polish the shiny vertical metallic bars until they perfectly gleam, maintaining this highly restrictive, completely luxurious stream. Observing the beautiful captive singing a remarkably sorrowful melody, a magnificent demonstration of highly expensive, tragic acoustic tragedy. I ensure the water dispenser is filled with remarkably pure artisan spring, listening to the incredibly sad notes that the lovely captive sings. The architecture of this prison is undeniably phenomenally stunning, but it prevents any sort of escaping or highly desperate running. Surrounded by an absolute incredible amount of wealth, sacrificing my genuine psychological independent health, deny the basic fundamental right to soar the sky, watching the beautiful free sparrows flutter quickly by. Trapped inside this magnificent, heavily gilded cage, enduring a highly suppressed, incredibly silent rage, an ornately constructed, phenomenally expensive prison, where the terrifying reality is finally painfully arisen. Singing beautiful songs of absolute luxurious captivity, robbed of every single ounce of natural free activity. The shiny bars provide a highly deceptive, glamorous trap, erased completely from the giant geographical map. I hang a beautiful crystal mirror inside the lavish enclosure, maintaining the wealthy captive's highly photogenic composure, a remarkably selfish desire to possess such an exquisite creature, highlighting every single delicate, highly attractive feature. The purchase price was an astronomically high, ridiculous sum, ensuring that the desired freedom will absolutely never come. Drape a heavy velvet cloth over the top when it gets dark, denying the captive any glimpse of the sprawling public park. I gaze longingly through the incredibly expensive, intricate lattice work, where the highly depressing, deeply isolating feelings continuously lurk. I desire the terrifying, unpredictable freedom of the open atmosphere, instead of the highly controlled, ridiculously safe environment here. My vocalizing stays ablaze by the wealthy visiting aristocracy, but they fail to recognize this terrible, confining hypocrisy. I would gladly trade this magnificent, shiny aurum perch for a completely dangerous, highly unscripted wild search. Surrounded by an absolute, incredible amount of wealth, sacrificing my genuine psychological independent health, deny the basic fundamental right to soar the sky, watching the beautiful free sparrows flutter quickly by. Trapped inside this magnificent, heavily gilded cage, enduring a highly suppressed, incredibly silent rage, an ornately constructed, phenomenally expensive prison, where the terrifying reality has finally painfully arisen.
beautiful songs of absolute luxuries, captivity, robbed of every single ounce of natural free activity. The shiny bars provide a highly deceptive, glamorous trap, erased completely from the giant geographical map. Lock the door, fly no more. Beautiful song, something wrong, something wrong, something wrong. My brightly plumed feathers are intentionally, permanently clipped, ensuring that my potential for flight is entirely, securely stripped. I am surrounded by incredibly expensive, shiny little trinkets, but my geographical perimeter is completely defined by limits. The enclosure is securely fastened with a heavy diamond padlock. I stare miserably at the remarkably ornate ticking grandfather clock, provided with gourmet seeds upon a tiny, exquisite platinum platter. But my fundamental lack of liberty is the only thing that matters. I polish the shiny vertical metallic bars until they perfectly gleam, maintaining this highly restrictive, completely luxurious dream. Observing the beautiful captive singing the remarkably soulful melody. Magnificent. Sliding my calloused fingertips across the rosewood neck, keeping the heavy emotional musical tempo perfectly in check. I press the nickel wire deeply into the wooden fingerboard, creating a highly melancholic, undeniably tragic minor chord.
The heavy gauge strings provide a remarkable amount of tension, accessing an entirely different, incredibly soulful dimension. My left hand trembles to produce the necessary thick vibrato, delivering this highly expressive musical manifesto. I push the metallic string aggressively across the steel fret, the most highly emotional physical performance I have given yet. The note bends upward, stretching the pitch into a terrible cry, a magnificent acoustic representation of a tearful, sad goodbye. The truss rod groans slightly under the immense pulling weight,
a physical reaction to this highly depressive musical state.
The magnetic pickups capture every single microscopic vibration,
translating the physical effort into an auditory revelation. The amplifier translates
the incredibly heavy grief,
offering absolutely zero auditory joyful relief.
The sustained pedal stretches the note into infinity,
a remarkably tragic, highly emotional sonic trinity. Listening to these beautifully weeping frets, broadcasting our deepest untold regrets. The guitarist bends the string until it heavily screams, tearing apart the fabric of our musical dreams.
A remarkable display of highly expressive string sorrow,
leaving absolutely no hope for a
tomorrow. The fingerboard absorbs the incredibly salty musical tears. A phenomenal technique perfected over many years.
I apply the heavy brass bottleneck to my little finger, allowing the incredibly sorrowful sliding notes to heavily linger. The glass glides smoothly over the parallel metal bars, broadcasting my incredible sadness directly up to the stars. The harmonic overtone scream with the highly piercing wail, a beautiful instrumental, undeniably tragic fairy tale. I pluck the D string with an incredibly heavy aggressive pick, executing a phenomenally complex, emotionally devastating trick. The calluses on my digits are heavily bruised and deeply worn. The physical consequence of playing music so incredibly forlorn. The amplifier tubes burn with a remarkably hot orange heat, while I manipulate the melody right above the reggae beat. The intonation is purposely adjusted to sound slightly sharp, creating a highly dissonant, deeply painful metallic harp. We force the instrument to vocalize our unspoken pain, a highly emotional, undeniably heavy musical rage. The amplifier translates the incredibly heavy grief,
offering absolutely zero auditory joyful relief.
the sustained pedal stretches the note into infinity,
A remarkably tragic, highly emotional sonic trinity. Listening to these beautifully weeping frets, broadcasting our deepest untold regrets. The guitarist bends the string until it heavily screams, tearing apart the fabric of our musical dreams. A remarkable display of highly expressive string sorrow, leaving absolutely no hope for a joyful tomorrow. The fingerboard absorbs the incredibly salty musical tears, a phenomenal technique perfected over many years. Unplug the cord, silence the board, neck is born, music is born. Pushing my lips against the cold golden mouthpiece, hoping the subtle conversation will never cease. I exhale a delicately measured, remarkably gentle sigh, allowing the cylindrical tubing to softly multiply. The frequency of my incredibly intimate, unspoken thoughts, a covert auditory exchange that cannot be easily caught. The metallic alloy warms up from the friction of my breath, playing a beautifully hushed serenade right unto death.
Fingering the slick, lubricated valves with extreme precision, executing a highly calculated, incredibly quiet musical decision. I compress the airflow into a remarkably subtle low hum,
Waiting patiently for the gentle
acoustic response.
spun.
The bell of the horn is
Entirely obstructed by a heavy mute, transforming the loud blare into something wonderfully astute. A secretive dialogue bypassing the human vocal cords, earning the most prestigious underground auditory awards. Keeping the dynamic volume incredibly restrained, a highly delicate melody that must be maintained. Speaking through the shiny metallic plumbing, listening to the remarkably soft exchange in these highly secretive brass whispers. A covert language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe. A deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are required for this chat, a purely instrumental discussion, just like that.
I adjust the tune and slide by a mere millimeter, making the harmonic resonance incredibly sweeter. The saliva accumulates slowly inside the water key, the physical reality of this beautiful acoustic decree.
My diaphragm controls the incredibly slow release of air, a highly disciplined technique executed with utmost care. We trade four-bar phrases in a highly conversational style, maintaining this sultry muted interaction for a while.
The vibrato
Shakes gently at the very end of the note, a beautiful sentiment that nobody ever officially wrote. I cut my left hand directly over the flared opening, controlling exactly how the metallic vibrations are ringing. A highly localized, incredibly private musical debate, occurring remarkably late upon this specific date. The trumpet effectively replaces the need for my tongue, the softest, most delicate jazz standard ever sung. Keeping the dynamic volume incredibly restrained, a highly delicate melody that must be maintained. Speaking through the shiny metallic plumbing, listening to the remarkably soft exchange in these highly secretive brass whispers. A covert language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe. A deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are required for this chat, a purely instrumental discussion, just like that. Just like that. The alloy vibrates with a remarkably sung, a beautiful demonstration. Let the metal communicate what the heart feels, a deeply resonant truth that the horn reveals. Breathe slow, keep it low, press the valve, let it out, softest tone. All alone, exchanging these highly secretive brass whispers. A covert language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe. A deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are